Just to follow up, when you look back at the film, just kind of what stood out more when you watched as far as just kind of how both Jackson did and maybe those turnovers a little bit.
Uh, yeah, I thought Jackson did a lot of good things in this game. Um, so, but the turnovers again, ball gets stripped out of our hand. 2 minute, got to do a good job. Davis made a nice play on Slay. Gets taken out of our hand. Scattaboo, defensive end crosses, tackles face, and gets it out. All going into the scoring zone. Hard to win. There's not many teams that have had 0 and 5 turnover ratio and have won a game in the last 25 years. So, um, again, not much different than what I said last night.
And then I guess, kind of following up what I asked about the two tight end set, is that something that you guys might look at going forward, just given how well Belly and Theo played?
Yeah, I thought they did a nice job. So, two guys we got a lot of trust in.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mark Canizero.
Hey, Dave's.
Yeah.
Just with regard to Jackson, you obviously knew of his quality in terms of his accountability and whatnot in the work you did with him, Brian. But last night was the first moment he had, and the way he reacted with such accountability, talking to his teammates and whatnot. I'm just curious, in your mind, how important is that? What is the importance of that, especially at his age? To have behaved this way
Yeah.
in his first set of adversity, if you will.
Yeah, I understand that. Again, he was. I'm not saying he was the same, but even after the first game he played and we won, there was, he goes back to the things that he could have done better. I got a tremendous amount of respect for the young man, how he's handled really everything on the field, off the field. It's no surprise that's the type of guy that he is. And he's a pleasure to work with. Again, I think he's done. I don't want to sell him short, and I know what he'll say, but I thought he did a lot of good things that gave us chances, and we got to take advantage of those chances.
How does that resonate with the teammates? You've been around a
Yeah,
million teams. How powerful can that be, especially coming from such a young guy?
yeah, I think they all respect Jackson, for his talents, one, and how he is. He's a pretty humble guy. They see how he works. They know he's a rookie. Again, there's going to be ups and downs, and um, there's no young quarterback I'd rather have to work with than Jackson.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Brian Dunleavy.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Ron.
Um, from a receiver standpoint, obviously Hyatt and Collins both had their I don't know, mistakes yesterday. Do you have enough receivers here to get through the season behind Wandale and Slayton, or do changes have to be made to this roster?
Yeah, I'd say again, I thought the distribution of whether you want to call them tight ends, receivers, doesn't really matter to me, was pretty even across the board with Theo and Belly and Wandell and Slay. And those young guys are going to have to do a good job of making sure that they're on top of their things, which I know they work hard to do. And based on personnel groups and what we want to use, could be more, could be less, but they all got to be ready to go.
What are you seeing from the secondary on defense, Brian? You have a lot of big investments there, whether draft picks or big contracts, and doesn't quite seem like those guys are making plays. They're actually giving up quite a few big plays over the first 5 games. What are you seeing from your secondary?
I think they've been competitive. We gave up that big one, the big 87-yarder, which we'd like to have back. Other than that, I don't think there was an explosive play throughout the game yesterday. And I thought they did a good job of hanging in there when, he turned the ball over 5 times and give them opportunity after opportunity to only come away with 13 points instead of more than that, um, was a good thing for them.
I think there's a lot of interest on the outside on the process of how you guys come up with your game day roster. Like who's going to be up, who's going to be pulled up from the practice squad, who's empty spots, all that kind of stuff. Can you just talk about, is that something you and Joe discuss? You always say like we're going to talk about that on Fridays. Like who's we and how does that process work?
Yeah, Joe, myself, coordinators, position coaches, we all discuss it. So again, there's special teams involved. I'd say special teams is an important aspect, which I think our guys have done a good job with. You know, what we can go with. Do we need to go with 4? Do we need to go with 3? Do we need to go with 2? Can someone offer more position flexibility at a certain position? Those are all discussions that we have on a week-to-week basis.
Thank you.
Yep.
We have time for a couple more if there are any. Ed Valentine.
Morning, Dabes. Hey, I just
Morning.
wanted to ask quickly.
Sure.
I know it's early on Monday, but you've got a quick turnaround. Anything on the status of Slayton for Thursday and Tyrone Tracy for Thursday?
Yeah, I meet with these guys at 11:15. I just got a text about it. So usually I meet with them after I talk with you guys, and I'll go right up there after this.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
Last one, Jordan Renan.
Hey, Brian, I was actually going to ask about Darius as well.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Aside from that, how did you guys come out of the game?
I'll find that out in about 7 minutes.
Okay. And then, how much when you talk about the Eagles, right?
Yep.
Have you already started working on them, right? Like, did you do that? Were you guys doing that last week as
Yeah.
well, knowing that it was a short game? Like, how do you go
Yeah,
about
I'd
doing
say-
that?
Yeah, all our I mean the breakdown coaches were, but all our focus was on New Orleans. We've been meeting for a while this morning, watching some last night, but got a lot of work to catch up on, and that's what we're doing right now.
I'm curious, at receiver, how stretched do you feel? Obviously Hyatt and Collins made their mistakes yesterday. How stretched do you feel? You know, that was the first game without Neighbors, and it looked like you guys had to pretty much revamp the offense to go with tight ends.
Yeah, I got a lot of confidence in our receiving group and Coach Grow and putting those guys out there and getting them prepared for the game. And I think based on how the game kind of declared itself, those guys were in the mix, and we had some opportunities, just didn't capitalize on them.
Mike, how hard is it to get guys up to speed? Like guys who maybe I think about your first year here, when you guys were able to just bring guys in. Hodgins comes to mind, guys who just came in and got up to speed and made an impact really quickly. Is that feasible, or is that a one-off that like you're just better off going with the guys in house?
No, I think that's one of the things our coaching staff does. It's a strength of ours is getting guys prepared and getting guys ready to go for the game. Whether you're on the roster or whether you're in the practice squad, those guys are dialed into it. They're in the installations, they're in the meetings and the walkthroughs, and just trying to stay ahead of schedule.
And then from a running back standpoint, Mike, what have you seen from Scattaboo these last couple days, and how much would getting Tracy back kind of maybe go back to the way it was supposed to be with backfield by committee?
Yeah, I've been really impressed over those last few weeks of where Scat has done and how he's played. The energy, the toughness that he's brought. I really like that. Obviously, he'd love to have that fumble back yesterday, which I know is killing him. But I was very pleased with how he's been playing. He's been out there. He's been playing tough with his protector responsibilities, blocking. Then obviously as a runner, finishing runs downhill, the aggressiveness that he brings. I think that's been a great asset for our offense.
Last one for me, Mike, the flea flicker. What'd you see?
Yeah, I think it was he had an opportunity. He had an opportunity there. We just didn't make it. I think those are the ones that you wish you had back. And I certainly know Slayton wants that one back, and Jaxson wants that one back as well. But we were being aggressive at that point in the field, at that point in the game, and we just didn't get it done. And I think those guys are going to be. I know they're kicking themselves on the airplane, and they'll come back stronger because of it.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Evan Barnes.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Evan.
Just going with the two tight end set last game. Just kind of what did you see from that? Um, Obviously it worked pretty well, but just going forward, how confident are you with Belly and Theo just being able to continue to execute in that role?
I have a lot of confidence in those guys. They're veteran guys that have done a really good job in really the run game, the pass game. Quarterbacks have a lot of confidence in them to do the right thing and kind of be where they're supposed to be, whether it's man or zone. So I have a lot of confidence in those two guys, and even getting Manhurts in the mix or Fedoni, like that whole room is built really cool, and it's that they all complement each other a little bit. So I have a lot of confidence in those guys.
I know it's often said, tight end is a young quarterback's best friend, and you probably can relate to that. Just how much do you see that Dart Theo connection these last two games working really well? Obviously, Dart has all three TDs to Theo.
Yeah, Jackson's had some opportunities for Theo, and Theo's capitalized on them. I think that's been the biggest part is when the balls come his way, Theo's made those contested catches, made those catches for us. He made a hell of a catch last week, in the red zone on a third down. The ball was a little bit behind him, but he made a nice strong catch. So I think as you just build more confidence with the guys, the more reps you get, whether it's the tight ends or any of the really position groups, but the more reps you get and more time on task with these guys, the more comfort you'll have.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Mark Canizero.
Hey, Mike, appreciate you doing this. With regard to Jaxson, obviously you knew of this quality of him, prior to yesterday, but yesterday was his first, real bit of adversity, if you will, and he was highly accountable in the locker room and kind of in front of us. I'm curious as to what's your reaction when you see such a young guy kind of getting it that quickly, and what's the importance to that to the rest of the room?
I think it's important when the quarterback, the leader of the room is taking accountability and ownership. At the end of the day, it's like I always say this, it's an 11-man operation on offense. It's never just one person. Certainly the quarterback, they're going to get, the praise when everything's going well. They're also going to get kind of the blunt of it when it's not going so well. And I appreciate that from our quarterback room. I appreciate that from Jaxson taking accountability. But, us as coaches, we're arm in arm with these guys, right? We're arm in arm with them, whether we win, whether we lose. And I think we're all in this thing together. And then when we're on the field, it's an 11-man operation. Everyone's accountable to one another and their assignments and their execution. And when you go and you execute at a high level, then you get the results you want. And when you don't, then you typically don't get the results that you're looking to get. So I think as a group, we're working through it. Obviously it's a tough game, but it's a short turnaround now. So we got a division rival coming up. We got a game in a couple days here. We got to hit the reset button, get back refocused, and get our bodies back and healthy and refocused in on the task at hand.
There's obviously be a lot of eyes on him to see how he bounces back, even though obviously it's hardly only him yesterday. But how do you see him reacting given what you know about his makeup, particularly as you mentioned, such a short week?
Yeah, I'm excited for the response, not from just Jaxson, but from the entire offense, and I think that's going to be the exciting part. Again, on a short week, so I'm looking forward to seeing how these guys respond. They come in tomorrow with the right frame of mind. I know they will. We got the right guys in there, and I'm excited to see them respond.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Jordan Renan.
Hey, Mike, what's going on?
Hey, Jordan.
How much different was things for you in the offense without Malik, right? To have that sort of guy that you can go to at all times, like, and how much did it change stuff for you process wise and even play calling?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week with Malik, and we're hoping, wishing for him a speedy recovery. But the guys that we have a lot of confidence in, and whether it's Slay, Jalen, Wandell, Bo, I mean, you can just go up and down the list of the guys that are out there. Like they have opportunities. We just got to capitalize on them. And I know we've had those two ones with Slay. I know he's beating himself up about it. And that's the kind of competitor he is, and he holds himself to a high standard just like we do here. And so I don't want to single just Slay out. Everyone had a piece of it, and every single group had their one or two plays that we could have done better. And same for me as a play caller, I could have done better as well. So it's full accountability. We're arm in arm. We'll get it cleaned up. We'll get it fixed, and then we'll get back on track and put together a good game plan, a good week of work today and tomorrow.
What about for Jaxson though? Like for a quarterback that you don't have that guy that Malik is a very, very high level player that you don't have that guy you can say, you know what, we need to play here. I'm going to go to this guy.
I'd say Jaxson. I don't want to speak for Jaxson, but I have a lot of confidence in our skill group. I have a lot of confidence in our tight end room, in our running back room, and our O-line room. So everyone's just got to step up, regardless of what happens, whether it's an injury or whether it's just the game and the part of the season. Everyone needs to continue to step up and make their plays and go out and execute. We talk about it in offense all the time. It's an 11-man operation. So if there's one piece that's off, then typically the play is not going to go really the way you want it. So we got to do a better job just getting on the same page, going out there and executing. And I think we will, because we've got a lot of good players and a lot of good coaches on this group.
I don't think we asked you, like, what did you make of the 5 straight turnovers? Like, when you went back and looked at it, like, how do you make sense of that?
Yeah, it's certainly an unfortunate series of events. I don't think I've ever been around that it's happened, but it did. We got to get it cleaned up. We got to be really good and disciplined with our ball security. We got to be really good and disciplined with the decision-making part of it. And, as a coach, that's something I take great pride in, being able to detail that stuff out. So whether it's the drills, whether it's the film work, we got to continue to ramp that up and put our guys in those positions so that we can see it.
I'll ask you one more here. When you have a guy like Jaxson, teams now have a chance to see him. How much do you expect them to try to take away his legs and his ability to, sort of improvise on the fly?
Yeah, I'm certain there'll be some sort of element as he gets more time on task and more games under his belt. There'll be some kind of adjustments, things that they could possibly do, whether it's certain fronts or certain coverages. I've seen in my past, we've seen our past, we have to have those adjustments ready to go if they do jump into it. And that's kind of where we're at right now. It's a short week with the Eagles, and under first off getting together with their scheme and what they're doing with their personnel and how they're kind of setting things up over these last few weeks. Now putting our stuff together with how we made it out of last week with our players and our coaches, and just get everyone on the same page. So we got a long way to go. We still got a couple days here to get ready and prepped, but I'm confident, I'm ready to go and get our guys back in the building.